Hi, my name is Victoria and I am co-owner of OTR Smokehouse. We are a little food truck with big dreams serving really good food and amazing sauces. Alright, so today I am making a banana crumb bread. So typically when I make this, my recipe is actually a banana crumb muffin. But I have a toaster oven and I don't have any muffin trays that are going to fit. So I am converting this recipe to a loaf recipe. So I looked at, and I also only have 2 bananas, and this recipe calls for 3. But I also had a recipe that only called for 1 because when the kids were home, I usually just ended up with 1. So I looked at both recipes and the amounts for each ingredient were pretty much the same. One has a little more ingredients than the other because obviously I'm making a crumble for this one. That one didn't have a crumble, and this one includes brown sugar and that one didn't. All in all though, I think it's pretty much gonna be okay for me to convert my muffin recipe that I have right here into a loaf with a crumble on top, which I'm very excited to see how this turns out. So based on my research, I learned that I have to lower my temperature and increase my time. So this is at 375 for the muffins, so I'm going to cook it at 350. For the muffins, it's 18 to 20 minutes. For my loaf, it's going to be 40 minutes, and because it's a toaster oven, maybe longer. Yeah, because I don't preheat the toaster oven. I just throw my item in and then I add like 5 minutes. And I'm hoping that 5 minutes is enough time to heat that little area up to the proper temperature. And if not, I just keep adding 5 or 10 minutes at the end and then, test things to make sure. So, I am going to get all of my dry ingredients around and put them in this large bowl, and that will be 1.5 cups flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and a half teaspoon of salt. Right. Always fluff your flour. If you don't, you'll get too much flour. It'll be floury. You want it nice and airy. And you just nicely spoon it in there. Heaping, okay? Don't shake it. That'll compact it. You don't want to compact it. You take your handy dandy knife and you gently scrape off the excess. And there you go. That's what you do for flour. If you don't, it'll be too floury. And I've had that happen to me a lot until I learned this trick. Fluff, spoon, level off. Don't shake, don't pack. All right, so and if it gets like a little too big of a pocket of a hole, just kind of gently move it back and forth. And there you go. All right. Don't pack it. Don't try to fill that hole. Don't shake it. Just go back and forth. It'll pack itself gently. Oh. And then don't throw it back in the flour. Have you ever had one of those days? Okay, all right. So back, forth. I have a pocket there. So I'm just going to go back and forth till that pocket gets full. And it might be just a huge lump, but that's okay. You back and forth and it'll work itself out and it'll be just fine. And dump it into the bowl, not back in the flour. One and a half cups flour. I'm going to be using this again for my crumbles. So I'm going to stash it over here. And there we go. All right, so now I need my baking soda. Baking soda. Baking soda. And it's 1 teaspoon. Just kind of make sure it's nice and fluffy. And that one had a big old lump in it. So I'm going to try again. And this is pretty neat because you can just use the lid to scrape it even. And there you go. Teaspoon that. I'm done with that, so I can go ahead and put that guy away. Baking powder. 1 teaspoon baking powder. And again, this has its own little spot in there. Again, you want to kind of fluff. Because if you don't use these ingredients a lot, they'll get a little hard at the bottom. So you kind of need to scrape it sometimes. That way you can not have as many lumps. Oh, see, I got some lumps. So let me do it one more time. I think it'll be okay. I still have some holes, but it's all right. I think it's a little bit forgiving. Put that guy away. That way I have room. And then I've got salt. So this calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I don't have a salt container other than this right now. Usually I'm using coarse salt or kosher salt. And then, you know, there you go. 1/2 teaspoon salt. Just trying to keep my area clean and clutter free. All right, so just kind of whisk these guys together. You like my whisk? Mop back for was like, I have a little whisk you can have. Okay. She says, sometimes it falls apart on me. I'm like, ooh, okay. So gotta watch out for that. But that's all right. It works handy dandy for just mixing up some flour and yep. All right. So I think that's good enough. And then you kind of set this guy aside over there. Yep. So we're going to do our wet ingredients here on this guy. But for now, I guess I just need the bowl. So for the wet ingredients, I'm going to be using 3 bananas, but I only have 2, so it'll be fine. A 3/4 cup white sugar. Oh, wait. Yeah. 3/4. So it's wet and dry. Let me see here. So beat together the bananas, sugar, egg, and melted butter. Yep. Okay. So it's been a hot minute since I made this. So I thought I was thinking right, but all right. So your bananas. 3/4 cup white sugar, 1 egg lightly beaten, and then a 1/3 cup butter, which ends up being like 5 tablespoons. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do now. Like I said, I only have the 2. Alright, there's the one. Yeah, they're still connected, so I figure if I can just do it without disconnecting them, that'd be alright. So far, so good. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I've got my bananas. Bananas, a 3/4 cup of sugar. One. 2. 3. Alright. And I'm remembering to put the spoon back in this time. Alright. So I'm pretty sure I'm done with that too. Yeah, I'm done with that too. Alright. So now I've got my banana and sugar and my egg. So I didn't beat up my egg. So I guess I need to beat my egg. Beat it. Let's beat it. Go. Then I've got, so I melted my butter. So I hope that's good enough. It's melted, right? Alright, so I'm beating my egg up. And it says slightly beaten, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Oh, lightly beaten. So I think that's lightly beaten enough. So yeah. We're just put that guy right in there. How? Melted butter. All right. My last thing is my melted butter. Just use my spatula. I like my butter. Let's get all the butter. All right. Oop. Guys out of the way. All right, so let's see here. And another bowl. Beat the bananas and stuff together. All right, it doesn't say anything more except beat it together, right? All right, let's get this guy out of the way. Go. Put that guy. Let's give it a good mix. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of sugar at the very bottom. So let's try to get that up to the top a little bit. Scrape it off the sides. All right, let's check it again. Make sure we don't have any sugar stuck at the bottom. I think it's going to be better this time, so we're just going to scrape this guy real good. It looks better. I'll show you in a moment. Yeah, it's a lot better. And there's a lot of sugar that was stuck at the bottom, so. And it's starting to smell really good too. All right, so let's go off there. There. All right, so we're done with this, guys. So let me just go ahead and get it taken care of and out of the way. All right, so now I have my liquid goodness. See that in there? That banana goodness. All right, so now I've got to put the stir the banana mixture into the flour mixture until just combined. So you don't want to over mix it. You just want to get the flour goodness right here moistened. That's it. So this is another one of those. It's like, oh, you know, try not to over mix it. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I just want to keep mixing and you don't really need to, evidently. So here we go. Get all that yummy goodness. All right. So over there. All right, so now we're just going to kind of, I think we'll do the fold-in method like we did with something else we made recently. Oh, the no-bake cheesecake. We kind of folded a couple ingredients together on that one. The whipped cream. So that's what we're going to do here. You see it's getting there. Just have to be patient with it. And scrape the bottom. Get all that stuff up from the bottom. And see, it's getting close to being just moistened, so I'm just kind of going around and getting the sides really good before I go and start folding it again. But this time I'm going to do my best to go across the bottom and fold. Go across the bottom. Oh, see, I found some whiteness right there. There's the bottom. It's always the trickiest spot, right there at the very bottom underneath all the things. All right, so I think that is just moistened. And again, since it's a clear one, you know, we can kind of look and cheat and see if it's good or not. But I think it's good. It's all just moistened. All right, so we're going to put that aside. I also need to grease a handy dandy pan here, so let's just take care of that real quick. You'll be all right. Oh shoot. Yep, so it's greased. I think it'll be good. Yeah. All right, we'll put that way over there. put her there for now. Alright, so now I'm going to be making my crumbly goodness that goes on top. So I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of flour and brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon. So it says brown sugar first. So the brown sugar is 1/3 cup. Yep, 1/3 cup. So, what do I have here? Oh, wait. 1/3 cup. I don't know why I didn't have that one out. Here we go. So, here's my 1/3 cup. Now, brown sugar, you want to pack it tight. Oh, man. As tight as you can get it. You got it? Do you think you got it? Grab some more. Pack it in there good. For some reason, with the brown sugar, you want that packed. Packed. Because you want it to come out looking like that. You know, like it's a mold. It's a mold. You want it molded to your measuring spoon. All right. So we're done with that. Put that away. So that's my 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And then I am going to need 2 tablespoons of flour. Again, but since I'm using the little one, I'm just going to kind of fluff with the little one. And then just kind of grab it out of there. Yeah, there's one. I'm going to fluff. Grab some. And 2. 2 tablespoons. And then I can put this away. Oh, shoot. There we go. And then I need 1 tablespoon of butter. So this is where the wrapper is fun. Because then you can say, yep, that about right here is a tablespoon. Yeah, that looks good. And what I do is I kind of cut it up into cubes. To little pieces. I probably should have put it in the refrigerator for a little bit. Alright, so I got it cut up into little bits. And this is where you're going to kind of cut the butter into your floury goodness. I'm just going to mix up my flour and cinnamon. My flour and brown sugar. Oh yeah, I forgot. I need to put the cinnamon in. The cinnamon is just 1/8 teaspoon. I don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon. I have 1/4 of a teaspoon. So we're just going to use the 4th teaspoon, but not fill it. We're just going to, get a little bit of that goodness in there. Because it's just a little bit for flavoring. So, just a tiny bit. You probably can't really see. But just a little bit in there. All right, here. Okay, so whisk again. Whisk got cinnamon in there. All right. Now we're going to cut our butter in. Put some of it in there. So this is kind of the tricky part. It took me a while, but you kind of want to take your knives, and then you're just going to just cut it. And this takes quite a while, and it takes practice. But you just keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, and it'll eventually come out like a coarse sand type consistency. What do they call it? resembles coarse oatmeal. They said it resembles coarse oatmeal. I don't know. I'm not a fan of oatmeal. I don't eat oatmeal, but I'm from Florida and I love the beach. So I call it, it's got to be like wet sand, you know. Yeah. You can also just take your fingers. Now, this is probably why I should have cooled off my butter a bit. Make it, you know, stiffer. So that way it, I don't know, it's supposed to work better. But here we are. You can also just take your fingers and you just kind of like rub it in between your fingers with the butter. The kids like this part, yeah? It could be all messy. And you can see it's starting to get a little more coarse, not so granulated. And it's good to do it in this way because then your batter gets to sit for a time. I can't remember exactly why. I know exactly why for cookies, but it's something to do with the baking soda and the batter and it kind of coming together. You're giving it time to, like, I don't know, rest, I guess, before you put it through the grueling heat. But so, and it's not going to take you 20 minutes to do this, but by the time you get the pan sprayed and maybe you want to add a liner to your pan, maybe you're not going to spray it, but you're going to use some parchment paper so that way you can just like pull it out. All right, so I think we're getting there, and you don't want to do it too much because then it starts just clumping together in a way that you don't want. So I don't know if you can see how the consistency has changed, and now it's like, you know, kind of wet sand like. All right, so I'm going to take my handy dandy grease pan and I am going to put my just moistened floury banana goodness. And then it's another way that you can make sure that you've got the bottom really well, that there's no, you know, big hunks of white that didn't get mixed. If you see little bits of like floury goodness that's not mixed, it's okay. It's okay. Because it's gonna melt down, and with the resting, you know, the flour breaks down more into the batter. And then when you cook it, it'll definitely come out. All right, so now let's see if I can get this to spread out in this pan. So you want your pan, I think it was like a third or a fourth full. Again, numbers. I don't like numbers, so. But you don't want it over full because then it could, you know, come up over and leak out before it's baked. And then, you know, trying to flatten it out in here kind of mixes it up some more. Like you're scooping it in, either if you're making muffins with it, you're scooping through and putting it into individual things. That's mixing it as well. So there's lots more opportunities for it to get more incorporated, you know, with the more process you put it through. We poured it out of there to here, that's kind of mixing it. Now we're trying to smush it around in here, that's kind of mixing it again, you know. All right, and here's the part where I always fail with trying to make this stuff even. I think I got it even, and then we take it out and it's like it's not. But that's okay. So here's where we're looking at. I can't hold it a certain way too long or it starts sliding, of course. So now we're going to put our yummy crumbly goodness on top. And this is where I'm kind of excited because with the cupcakes, you can lose some of your crumbliness in between the cupcakes, you know, on the pan and stuff, or as they're baking and poof up, they kind of fall off. All right, so just kind of spreading it out a little bit. There we go. Crumbly goodness. All right, so I'm going to be popping this into my toaster oven. I'm going to adjust my temperature. So for muffins, it's 375. I'm going to put it at 350. Honestly, it's a toaster oven, so I just might leave it at 375. I think it'll be okay. See, and that's the battle with the toaster oven. Maybe I'll go a happy in between. Yeah. And then I'm going to be cooking this probably 45 minutes or so. I can let you know when I'm done, if I remember to let you know. So I'm going to throw this in the handy dandy toaster oven. Just like so. Pull it out from the wall. So I covered it with a little foil because it was getting a little dark, crispy on top, but here we are. It looks good. I probably should have grabbed a knife first. Just to do this whole number around it. But I don't really think it needs it. Then I thought I would dump it onto here. So I want to see how it looks, right? Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, it came out. It came right on out of there. Nice. Flipping it might be difficult. Do this. Aha! There we go. See, there are ways around. Well, looks alright. There we go. It's not bad, right? Crunchy goodness on top. Let's see how it tastes. It smells good. It looks okay, but sometimes I've had things where it's like that and it's terrible. I'm like, how the heck? No, that's not bad. I guess I can see why they have that third banana, but really you still get the flavor of the banana. All right, well, I think this was a success. And even though I might have burnt my little crispy goodness on top, it still tastes really good. Yeah. So I think this was a win. Mm-hmm.